Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the episode of Infor Tech TV Live. My name is Tiffany Canada, and I'm a Senior Product Manager for Birst. I will be the host of this session, and I'll be helping everyone get all of their questions answered as we go through the demo. Our builder hours are designed as a live demonstration, and we highly recommend participation from the audience. Today, we will be showing you how to leverage Burst and extend your analytics capabilities from the Cloud Suite. I am joined by Rena, a longtime burst expert who will be taking your questions and giving the live demo. Most importantly, if you're not familiar with how our lives work, the idea is for you to engage with us and make this as interactive as possible. So please send in all your questions so that we can get those answered throughout the demonstration. The really interesting content will ultimately be from you, our live audience. So please help us out by using the chat function to ask questions and help direct the conversation. At the very end, we'll be posting a download to our cheat sheet. This will help you understand a little bit more about the Infor Burst solution and also our architecture. So please stay tuned after the demonstration to get access to that. Since this is a live session, I do need to post a short disclaimer. Any of the number of topics that may come up, including questions about future of products, roadmaps, proposed dates, etc. So we just want to make sure that we're clear that we aren't making any promises in the episode. I should also mention that today we will be demonstrating from our manufacturing environment. For those using other Cloud Suite products, content may be a little bit different, but all the functionality is still the same and you have access to it. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and pass it over to Rena so she can introduce herself and get started.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'd also like to welcome everyone to our second Builder Hour. It's the second for Infor Technology Platform Group, but first one for Burst. So a few words about myself. I'm like an old colleague used to say, a BI dinosaur. So I've been doing analytics and BI for over 20 years. Yesterday was the day with Burst that I've been here 7 years, so a long time with Burst too. I've done pretty much anything you can do with BI, from support to services to education and pre-sales. And I do know that that kind of flows into what I do. So I'm a little bit salesy, even in these builder hour things. So I do apologize for that. Today's topic, like Tiffany said, we'll show you how to extend CloudSuite Analytics, and we'll be concentrating on the end user side of things. So report developer, business user. If you're interested in the back end, adding data, adding other data sources into the model, then let us know in the comments so we can always do another session with you. Before we jump into the actual demo, I have a couple of slides to show you. So I know not all of you are familiar with Infor and Infor Cloud Suites. So the main line of business for Infor is industry-specific multi-tenant cloud ERPs. We have other solutions too, like expense management. And most of these solutions have analytics tied to it. It's built with Burst and it's powered by Burst. The CloudSuite Analytics, as you can see here, includes dashboards and reports. So they're pre-built. So they come with the product as you buy it, as you deploy it. There's measures and attributes, and there's a data model. So basically, all you need to do is have your source system and some data in that source system, and it will flow into our data lake, and from there into the model and onto the dashboards and reports. Now, everybody knows that standard reports and dashboards are not 100% fit for everybody. So what can we do to customize that stuff? How can we make it our own to actually have everything we need in them? So that's what this session is all about. This is what I'm going to show you if time allows. Depends a little bit on how many questions and how difficult your questions are. So we're going to be copying a pre-built dashboard. We're going to be deleting a dashlet out of it. We're going to add a pre-built report, so basically replace a dashlet. Then we'll go to a dashboard that I have built from scratch. So we'll go to Visualizer and create a new report. We'll do custom groups, custom sets, global filters, and a calculation. And then we'll add this new report to a dashboard. We'll add a KPI. We'll add and modify filters. And then if we have time, we'll add a logo and some color into a dashboard and maybe embed a website or a Twitter feed. So a lot of things to go through. And the idea of this session is not to teach you what to do. So of course, as you can see, there's a lot to cover. And quite a lot to learn too. So you'll have to go through the product help or go to training. This is more of an idea of what you can do with the CloudSuite Analytics to actually customize it and make it your own. Okay, let me get to the browser. And I have two screens, so that's why I need to look to the side a little bit at times. So I'm now in a home page. The idea here behind the homepage is that I have everything I need to do my job in one place. So I'm now a finance person in this case. So we're looking at finance. I have links to all my items. If I click open this one, I can actually get to chart of accounts in the source system. So it opens up a place in the source system where this data is flowing to, and we can actually see the chart of accounts and how it's been set up in the source, not in the reporting system. If I go back to the home pages, I'll be back here. We have other items here, customers we need to approve for credit, for example. So we'll get a list of those guys. So all kinds of items in here, of course, also analytics embedded. Let me show you another one quickly. So I'll go to a purchase manager, and they have a slightly different kind of dashboard, or homepage actually, not a dashboard. So we have top 5 suppliers, we have planned purchase orders, delivery notes, claims and returns. If we go further down, again, we have planned purchase orders, and I can click on those and it opens up in the source system so I can actually see what's going on. Now, analytics, as you can see, can be embedded in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the app switcher on the top left corner to go to M3 Analytics for food and beverage. So Tiffany said manufacturing, but I'm actually going to show you food and beverage, and this is M3. Now I'll open this up, and I'm an admin, so I get to the very unexciting landing page. Now, before I start going through the capabilities we have and the options you have, let me just quickly show you where you can find information about these different solutions. So I'm now in docs.infor.com, and if I go to CloudSuite and I go to M3 CloudSuite, so this is of course because we are now in M3. So I'm going to go to the documentation list. We have M3 Analytics. And in here, I'll open the admin guide and food and beverage product guide. And we're not going to go through this in detail, but just so you know. So for example, if I go to sales domain, we'll open that up. You can see we have the models in here. We have the fact tables, whatever dashboards we have created. So the list of dashboards available in this domain are here. And you can go in and take a look at what they actually include. So what's part of this dashboard. So all the information is in here. Now, if I go to the admin part, you can see there's extending content. So I'll just open that up, and reports and dashboards. And you can see basically all the items I mentioned in my agenda are here. So you can see the rules and best practices, how to go about it. I shall also go through those. So I will let you know what you can and can't do. That's the point of this. But there is documentation about it too. The documentation is slightly different for different applications and solutions. So if you're not an M3 customer, you have your own set of documentation, but there is documentation and help on how to get things going. So let's get back to this one, and I'll try and make it a full page. All right. So the first things first, we have collections, and they are, well, obviously collections, groups of reports and dashboards that belong together. Admin is if you're an admin, obviously, but we have sales, finance, procurement, production, and warehouse. And these are the domains that this product is working with. Now, if I'm a salesperson, I will have access to the sales collection. If you're creating new content, the best practice is not to put anything into these pre-existing Infor created collections, because they are probably going to get written over. So Infor updates this content frequently or periodically, and whatever you do and you put into the Infor created collections, folders, catalogs will most likely get overwritten. So don't do that. We already have a demo collection here, so that's what I'll be using for this. And I'll show you in a minute how to actually create a new collection. But let's go to sales. Sales is always an easy topic. Everybody understands sales. So I'm in the sales collection. I have all the sales dashboards available. I'm going to go into the sales manager because it's a good dashboard. Now, like I said, it's a good dashboard. I like it, but I want to change something on it. The rule is don't change anything Infor has done because it will get overwritten. So I'm not going to do the change here. I'm going to copy this dashboard and then do the changes. For that, we'll go to the right side of the screen for Browse Collections and Dashboards. Now, if I want to create a new collection, I'll click on here. There's two types of collections, public and personal. Public obviously is available to everybody according to the rights, and personal is my own. So if I'm doing development work, I would probably create a personal collection. Not going to create any at this moment because we already have the demo one. So here's my dashboard, and I'm going to copy it. There's two ways of copying. There's copy the dashboard only, which means that I have my own personal copy, but all the items in my dashboard are original ones. So if somebody does any changes to the original dashboard items, the changes will automatically flow into my dashboard. If I do dashboards and reports, then I have also my version of the reports on the dashboard. So if somebody does changes to the original ones, mine won't change. I will have to go and copy the original ones or do the changes myself. Now, I'm not going to do any changes, so I'm going to just copy the dashboard. So we'll go to demo. I'll just make sure of that. And then I'll call it Riina's sales dashboard. Okay. And now when it opens up, we are in the demo collection and it's Riina's sales dashboard. So we are where we are supposed to be. And it is very, very important to make sure you're in the right place when you do these changes, especially in our demo environments. And while I'm talking about demo environments, it is a demo environment. So if the data doesn't always make sense, please forgive us. It's not real data. It is stuff me and my colleagues have created here. So it's not always so good. Another one, actually a disclaimer we probably forgot, is that neither Tiffany nor I are M3 experts. So if you have questions about the content and M3, we really can't answer. So those we will have to get somebody else to answer. So we're Birst and analytics people. Okay, so we'll do some changes here. So I'm going to click on edit. So then I can do changes to a dashboard. And like I said, I want to get rid of one dashlet here. So we'll click on that to make it active. Click on edit and then to the recycle bin. So it's going to be deleted. It gives you a warning, but it doesn't matter because the actual report is not deleted. You're just removing it from the dashboard. You can always get it back if you decide to do so later. So we'll delete it.
Hey, Riina.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly interrupt you for a second. I saw that there were a bunch of icons there when you selected edit. Could you go over what each of the different icons are?
Okay, yeah. So if I go to this one and I'll click on edit. So the information is Dashlet properties. So if I click on that, you can change the title, for example. You can see where the report is coming from, and you can actually even change it here. If you want to swap the, the underlying report, you can do that. Then you have some options for that dashlet. And then if you want to put in a description that you can see when you hover over the dashlet, you can do that. So that's the dashlet properties. Then you can go into Visualizer, which is the place where you actually create this report, this chart. So that takes you there. Then there's a drill across, and I'll show this later on how that works. So we can drill onto another page or another website too if we want to. And then you can throw it in the trash. So those are the options that you have. You always have to first activate the item and then you get the edit button. Okay, so from that, we'll go into the insert menu and we're going to do an existing report. So there's a ton of content in here. If I go to the Infor folder and, for example, to sales, and we'll go to sales analysis, which is where I'm mostly working today, you can see a lot of reports available here. And depending on your rights, you might have access to more than one of these domains. So then you have even more reports available. So even though we have these pre-built dashboards, you can always go in after you copy and change some of the items in them. So let me actually go in and search. It is called in order quantity breakdown by period that I want to add into this one. So you can see when I start typing in, the product will recommend or suggest what I can add based on my search criteria. So it was the order quantity breakdown by period. I'll get a little bit of a screen here that might tell you if you're looking at the right report or not. I know I am, so I'm going to click on done. And that's the new dashlet, the new chart I'm going to put in. Now this is a little tricky to get it into the right place. Let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay, and as you can see, none of the other dashlets have these borders in them, so I'm just going to go in and get rid of those. Now, before I do the publish and basically save this, I just wanted to go in here and show you what else is possible to add into a dashboard. And there's quite a few items. We'll do a few of these. So we've added reports. We'll do a KPI, potentially an image, and an HTML container. So we'll go through a few of these in terms of how you can customize this stuff. So we're going to do a publish. And that's now my modified dashboard, the first example I have. So we took an existing dashboard, said that this is great, but I want to change something. So we copied it, got rid of one item and added a new one, which is pre-built. So it's already, somebody has done the work for us. So now let's go to visualizer. And the reason why I'm going, yeah.
Before we do that, could you also show how you could change, potentially change a graph within the dashboard itself? So for example, if we wanted to see one of those donut charts in a bar graph or something like that.
Okay, let's see if we actually have that in any of these. It is possible we don't. Okay, these ones, no. Sorry.
I think even showing a table would be great.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll go into a table. So rather than looking at a chart, we'll look at the actual numbers behind it. So whether you have other chart types available depends on how it's been set up. So Tiffany, you surprised me there with that with that question. Let's take a look at it when we are in my custom created dashboard, so I can then show how it works with other chart types too. Okay, so yeah, we'll move on to visualizer, and I'm going to go through visualizer because some of the things I want to show you can't be done if I'm going through the dashboard. So we'll go into the reporting tool, but it's also possible when I'm in the dashboard, I can say I want to insert a new report, and then it will take me here. There's just some things that I'm going to show you that won't work if I go that way. So the next thing is subject areas or custom subject areas. When we talk about these Infor rights and what you can do and where. So we have, again, the finance, procurement, production, sales, warehouse. Whatever you do in this area, in this tool, do not save any of it into these custom subject areas. Again, they will be written over when Infor updates the model. So none of these places are actually not the ICBI either, if you have access to that, but don't save anything in these guys. I have demo, which is again created for this particular purpose so that I can save stuff in there and show you how it works. But the rule is don't save anything into the Infor created stuff if you want to keep your work. Now, if I go to the sales domain again, we see the model that's been built for us, the semantic layer that we have. We start with measures. So let me open that up. The measures are, in this case, divided into 4 different folders. And we're going to go into sales analysis. So we have now a lot of different measures. We have measures that have been created in the source system, so these folder things. And then we have calculations that have been created in this tool. But these are all measures that have been pre-created for you so that you don't have to do them yourself. Now I'm going to be using invoiced gross amount and the company currency. That's what this company here in the end means. So I'll click on that. Then I choose the date, and these dates are all from the source system, so from M3, and we're going to go with order date. And lastly, I can then choose the aggregation type, so we're going to be using the sum. So here is my first part of the chart. I'll go in and get all of my data. So by default, we show 100 rows of data, but if you want to see everything, then you see everything. And I know it's small amount of data in this environment, so I can safely go in and do all. In general, when you're developing 100 rows is good. You get to see how the data behaves, and it's easy to do your work with that. And then once you're almost done, then you can go in and add more rows. Now we need attributes, of course, here too. So I'm going to go into item, and I'm going to go into item number. And so that we can see what's going on, I'll go into table. I'm going to sort that so that we have the largest invoiced gross amounts in there. Now it bothers me to have different numbers of decimals, so I'm just quickly going to go and say 0 decimals, so everything looks the same. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a custom set. So that is something you can do freely in these pre-built content packages. So yeah, so I'll filter, and we're going to say we want to see only orders above 75 million. Now I will also have to
Hey, Rena,
yes.
before you get too far, can you just kind of explain what a custom set is and why you would use it?
Yeah, I think it's easier if I show people what it is. So it is basically your grouping, or how would I put it? You're putting attributes to the set of data that you have in the dashboard or in the report. And I think it's easiest if you well, follow through what I'm what I'm showing here, then it makes sense. So it would be basically the same thing that if I said, if the invoiced gross amount is over 75 million, then I want you to do something or other. That's what we're doing here, but it's just an easier way of doing that. So if we're doing a custom set, like I'm doing here, it has to be in table format. You have to have the push down to the database enabled, and that means that we do calculations on a row level in the database. So it's pre-aggregation calculations, if you're familiar with pre and post aggregation. And you have to save this report. So I'm going to save it as sales by custom item group. And I like to put in letter R in front of the stuff that I do so that I actually recognize them, even if I save them to the wrong place. But I have a folder here, and you can see everything starts with an R. So the end result is going to be sales by custom item group. So I'll save the report. So now that it's saved, the push down is enabled, and we're in table format. I can actually go into advanced tools and do custom set. Now the attribute is item number. That is the only thing we have in the report. Now if you, okay, it's still doing that, although it shouldn't. So if the item is in the report that we have in there right now, then it's a top performer. If it's outside of the report that we have, it's the rest. We're putting it in the demo default subject area. So again, make sure you're saving it in the right place. And then we're calling it Rena's top performers. So item number, if it's in the report that we have at the moment, it's a top performer. If it's not in the report we have right now, it belongs to the group, the rest. So that's what we're doing here. Now we're saving it. We're back in the report, and I'm going to get rid of the filter. So we were filtering everything above 75 million. And now if I go into the demo, we have the custom sets in here. we have Riina's top performers. And if I click on that, now we actually have the additional attribute that goes with our report, with our actual attributes. So these three are top performers and everything else belongs to the rest. So that's what a custom set is. And these are something you can actually freely create because Infor doesn't do these at all. So there's not going to be anything done by or pre-built when it comes to custom sets. But basically you are creating additional attributes for your data based on, in this case, the invoiced gross amount. Now, another thing you can do freely is global filters. So I'm going to create a really, really simple filter here. Again, I'll make sure it goes into the demo. We'll call it Riina's 75 million. And then we'll add the filter. So I'm going to the sales, measures, sales analysis, invoiced gross amount for company currency, by order date, the sum. And similarly, as I did the filter right there in the dashboard, I'm going to create the same filter here. So over 75 million. And why I would do this, and do I have the right number of zeros? Yes, I do. Is if it's a global filter, then it's available for both this tool and the dashboards, and you only have to do it once. So you don't need to recreate this filter every time you add it to a report or something. By default, a filter in this tool is done once. So if I do a filter here, it's not going to be available to another report. I will have to recreate it. But if it's a global filter like this one here, it's now going to be available for everybody and everyone who's actually working in this tool with same rights that I have. So the 75 million filter is I just go in and grab it from global filters. I don't need to do it again and again. Of course, this is a very simple filter, but if you're doing a more complex one, it saves a lot of time when you don't have to recreate it. And global filters are also something Infor will not provide. They are not doing that, or we are not doing that. So you can again freely create as many as you want. And it of course makes life easier if you have filters that we don't already have in our pre-built content. You can create that stuff yourself. All right.
And
so then,
before you
yes.
transition, we did have a question on if you'll be able to download the presentation. All these presentations will be available through YouTube and LinkedIn. We shared a link to the playlist, so you'll have access to those after these are completed.
Thank you. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is custom grouping. So what that is grouping data differently than it is within the data. Well, again, to put it simply. So let me get rid of the filter. Let me get rid of Riina's top performers. And this is now what we have left. So I want to group these differently than it is within our data. So back to advanced tools and create custom groups. Riina's item group. We don't put it in the default, we'll put it in demo, and then we'll find the information we want to group. So I'll go back to sales, attributes, item, and item number is the one I want to be grouping. Now, first we have subgroup number 1. Let me actually go to the bottom of this to find the stuff that I want to, this one here. So I'll change the names after. It's easier if I do this just quickly like this. So this one goes to subgroup number 1. And this one goes to 2, 3, 4, 5. And everything else, as you can see here on the bottom of the screen, goes into group called others. Now this is F&B data. So I'm just going to go and put in some names in here. So this could be, for example, you're creating a report for external reporting, and maybe that requires different kind of grouping that it is in your source information. Fish products. So this is an easy way of doing that. And again, this is saved in the product, so you can reuse it afterwards. So it's not just a one-time thing. So I have my items, I have my new names, and let's save this. Demo, custom groupings, Rina's item groups. Let's add it to this one. And now we can see it's in here. So let's break by that. So we have, obviously I added only one item into cereal, dairy, fresh products, and meat because those are really big groups. And then we have a lot of other products. I want to use a donut pie chart, I guess. So I'm going to take the item number out. And then I'm going to change it into a pie chart. And this is now my actual report, the one I want to add into my dashboard. So sales by custom item group. So let's save it again. Now I also promised to show a calculation. Now there's a lot of calculations in here, so I'm going to do something really, really simple. I'm going to start a new chart and we'll still continue with sales. So first we'll go into measures. I'll go to analysis. And let's go all the way down. So we have gross weight and net weight. Let's take the gross weight by order date. We'll go with sum. Unfortunately, I have to scroll down a little bit. I could use the search, but there's so much stuff in here. I find it easier with this stuff to go down. So order date and sum. And let's use the same item stuff that we've used before. So we can take the item from there. Now that's going to be a very ugly report. So let's go back to table. So that's my items. And now gross weight and net weight. The difference between those usually is packaging. So let's do a calculation for that. Oops, sorry. Packaging. I'll make it global, which means that other people can use this calculation. And I have to remember to put it in the right subject area. Now, if I start typing here, the product will suggest what I have available for this calculation, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I actually have the calculation in another file. So I'm going to just copy it over to save time and to make sure that we have the right stuff in here. So that's my calculation. So we're simply taking the net weight from the gross weight. And
Rina, before you save that, can you also show that function over to the left where you can actually see
library.
some of the different formulas that we have available?
Yeah, of course.
Everybody's aware.
Yeah, so this is the function library that we have. And in here, you can find examples of the functions we have available. Let's go to date add, for example, which is something that I personally use quite a lot. So date add is a function that obviously adds months, years, months, dates to a date time or date column. And in all of these, you have first the function, and then you have the syntax on how that works. So date add, in this case, we're adding 2 days into this order date column. So that's how that works. So you have an explanation of the function and then an example of how it works. Now this date stuff is great. Then you have math functions, obviously a lot of these, if you need to use them. Logical stuff is something you need to use quite a lot. So if something is something, then you do one thing or the other. So if IIF and if null are something that I personally use a lot. Rank and percentile functions. So quite a lot of functions in here. You have a little bit of information in this tool, but then of course also in the help if you need more information, but also this one here. So if I go into percentile, I can again see an example of how it would look like in the actual product in the calculation. Okay, so we have our calculation. We have the packaging, the name. We're making it global. It's going into demo. So let's click on done. And when I do it like this, it automatically adds it to the report, to the chart, whatever I'm doing at that moment. So we have that calculation in here. But also if we now go into subject areas, and we go into demo, we have the packaging here. If I need to change it under actions, I can go into edit and then change the calculation if I need it. And then you have the rest, the custom grouping I did, the custom set, and then the global filter. So everything is under the demo. And I guess that's the main point here, that there are things you can do, but remember where to save them. And probably depending on your role in your organization, it is possible you don't even have the chance to save them anywhere other than the demo kind of collection or a subject area. But just I'm trying to drill this in into everybody, that you need to be really careful where you save this stuff so that you don't lose your work. So we're done here. I'm going to go back to dashboards. I'm not going to save this report. We don't need it after this. So we'll go into the demo, and now we have a dashboard I have created from scratch. So this guy over here, as you can see, it looks slightly different than the pre-built content. So we're going to come in and bring that report we just created. So if I go into edit, existing report, and my folder, and I'm just going to take the last modified. So that's the thing we did. Okay. So that's there. I'll also add in a KPI. So let's go into the insert menu and do a KPI. I'm going to do a number of orders. So the order number, we'll change it to, so this is the same kind of stuff that I did when I added measures into a report. So for every measure we have, you always choose the date it's used by, and then the aggregation you want to use. So I want to use the invoice date, and then it's count distinct. So we're calculating each order number only once. If you want to do something with data formatting, you can do that. But what I want to do is add a title. So we're going to say number of orders, and we'll save that. Now you can see there's another title, so I'm going to change that. So we'll go into these properties that we looked at before, and I'm going to disable that. And I like color, so I have a color code. So we'll be here, and I'm just going to go in and change the color of this item. Okay, not quite that dark. Let's go with this. All right. Okay, we should probably change also the font color, but I'm not going to do that right now. That is done in the KPI. So I'll just show you where. So in here in style settings. Okay, since I'm here, why not change it?
And while you're in there, can you also just highlight the indicator and chart that you can use with the KPIs?
Yeah, of course. So just change the color. So there's the indicator. So if you want to, for example, do compare to previous time period, you can do that. So you would have the calculation preferably done in the reporting tool. So you can just then choose the item that you want to use for the indicator. So whether you're going up or down. And then you have the chart, which is a mini chart of the number of orders in this case. So I could go in and choose a year and month, for example. Let's actually do that. And this is what you never do in a demo, because I'm not 100% sure how this is gonna look, but we'll blame Tiffany for it because she asked. So okay, so it wasn't too bad. So you can choose any attribute you want, although I have to say my personal opinion is that when we're talking about a KPI and a chart attached to that, I think time is the only thing that makes sense. Everything else you would need to explain what's going on. But a trend, when it's time, everybody understands. So I think that would be the only sensible choice here. But that's the chart that you can have. And if you then decide you don't want it, you can always disable all these capabilities. So let's go into save. So what we've done now is we have a dashboard that I have created from scratch. So most of these reports, actually all of them, are custom reports. So either I or a colleague has done them. What I want to show next is filters. So how you can change filters in a dashboard or add new ones. And for doing that, we're going to do a drill through. So going from this map into another part of the dashboard collection. So we'll go into edit and drill across. I always talk about drill through, but drill across is what we call it. So I have the country information in that map, obviously, and we're going to a dashboard page called country details. So that's where we're drilling across. So I'm going to click on apply and then publish. And it's not going to work right. It's on purpose. So we're on global sales. I have the map. I want to go and see what's going on in Great Britain. So we'll go on the country level information. We'll go to a different dashboard and you can see there's no filtering here. So it's not filtering with country. Now that's because I don't have a country filtering here. So let's go and take a look. So whether it's a pre-built dashboard that you want to edit after copying, or it's something you created completely from scratch, you have available all the pre-built filters Infor has created. So when I go to the filter menu and I go into manage, and it takes a little bit because there's a long list of filters that have been created. So that's it. So there's a ton of this stuff here, a lot. Now, first of all, I want to take a year into this so we can take a look at the current year. And year filter is something that is pre-populated. So there is a value in there, a default value when we choose that. I also want to create a new one. And when you create new filters, they are native filters, which means that it's applied only to this dashboard tab where I am right now. So I'm going to create a new native filter. And we're going to go in and find the customer country. CSCD, I know what it is, so it's easy to search. So that's that. I think we'll leave it as CSCD. So I'm gonna just save it. And we will then find it here, CSCD. And you can see these asterisks on the bottom. It tells us it's a native filter. So I know this is the thing I just created. So I'll apply that to the dashboard. And when I click on that, you can see these icons in here that says that it's been applied to all of these items. And that's the way I want it. So I click on done and we publish. And then we go back to the first one so that you can see it actually works. So we go to the map. I'll click on the country. And now we're here and you can see we have the Great Britain in here. And then we have the year 2022. So that comes as a default value in the year filter. But that's an example of a drill through. And you can, of course, create these as many as you want. And what I've now shown you is a dashboard we've built from scratch. We did a custom report, a new report, did custom sets, custom groups, global filters, and added a calculation too. The main thing there was to make sure that they are in the right place when you create them so that they don't get written over. And then you saw some filters we can actually apply. So all the filters that have been pre-created are available also for your own dashboard. So they're not there just for the Infor created pre-built content. They're also available for whatever you do here. You can always go back and take the filters that are available or create your own as you saw.
So Rina, I know we also have a really cool functionality to do drill backs into the ERP. We have about 15 minutes left. So if you want to show that, and then I'm just going to encourage the audience, please put in any questions that you may have so that we can help get those covered while we're actually in the product.
Yeah, I can show that. I knew you would be asking, so I'll show that. So what Tiffany was talking about is a drill back capability, and it goes back to the idea we have that whatever you're doing, you should have all the tools you need to do your job as quickly and efficiently as possible. So rather than having to actually go back to the source system and then go and find whatever it was you were working with here, we can go back and link to that information. So we'll take this order report that we have here and we'll go into Visualizer. So we're going to be editing it and we're going to be adding that link to the source system. Now there's a knowledge-based document on this. So if you're interested in doing it, the syntax is not the easiest. So you'll have to go and get that information from the knowledge-based document. But I do have, of course, it ready here in case I need it. So we go into advanced tools. We'll go into report level drilling and we'll add a new drill path. So you probably can guess what it is. So it's Rina's whatever, Rina's payer. So that's the name. We're gonna target it to the payer column. So payer table and payer column. It's a hyperlink. And then I'll add the link information in here. So there's the information on how M3 requires this data, what table we're going to, what information we're looking at, and then the information we're providing with our link. You can do this to other systems too, so it doesn't have to be an Infor system. We can basically link into anything that has a URL we can use. So if you can create a hyperlink to connect to something, then you can do a drill through or drill back or drill across or whatever drilling you want to call it to the source system. So it doesn't have to be Infor. And we want to open it in the same window. So it's Rina's payer, hyperlink, link is there, done. And if this fails, I have another report I can show you how it actually works. So let's publish. And let's see. It works as it should. So we're now looking at JJ Food Service Limited and their credit information. So that's the information we're linking to. We're seeing how they are, what kind of credit they have with us, etc. And you can see all the different items I've opened before. They're open here. So if I want to go back to the chart of accounts, I can, because I've opened it within this session, but it came back from the report. And now if I go to the app switcher and I click on the analytics, it goes back to the dashboard that we came from. So okay, we have 10 minutes. I can show a couple of other things if there are no questions from the audience. I'm guessing that's a no. So,
we don't have any specific questions, but I do think it would be great to maybe highlight changing out some different chart types, showing what we have available, and maybe doing some customization on the visualization side for those dashboards and Dashlet.
Okay. So if we, for example, go to this one here. So first of all, in the previous dashboard that was pre-created, you didn't have the possibility of going between the different chart types. But in here, because it is something I have created, we have the availability. So by default, we're looking at, for example, column charts in this case, but I can always go into pie, bar, line, or always the table. So I can always see the numbers behind the chart if I want to. So these are some of the possibilities. If I go into Visualizer, now in the explore mode, so I'm not actually doing anything new. So if we look at this one here, you can see the different types of charts that we have. And I know we have a project ongoing right now to come up with some new items into this list here. But these are the ones that come with the product. We do also support using third-party visualization libraries. So if you want to have a more exotic chart or visualization in your dashboard, you can do that. So it is possible to use those, and security and everything, of course, stays. So we are just using a visualization library to visualize our data. and then it's embedded into the dashboard. So that is also a possibility. If I click back from here, we get back to the dashboard. You can bring in pictures if you want. So for example, icons. It is possible to add in a feed, for example. So let me show those while we're still on air. So if I go to insert an image, and again, of course, I have a link on the other window. So you can upload pictures into Birst, of course. So that's a possibility, but using a URL is sometimes the better option. So I have a logo I can insert in here. So let's get rid of the put that maybe in there. Okay. And if I scroll down, oh, I already have a tweet. So let's take a look at how that's done. So this is an HTML container. So if I go into insert and HTML, so that's the thing that we're working with here. And if I click on this and go into edit and then into the edit, it's a very simple thing. So there's a HTML code to how to embed Twitter. And then there's the address that we're looking at. And then there's the topic or title of this feed that we want to show in the dashboard. So you can add that too. And then all you do is insert. If it doesn't show up here on the right, then it's not working. So you need to make sure that you can show whatever you are showing with your HTML code, that it's showing up, then it's okay. And as I was mentioning the third-party visualizations, that would also be done through the HTML container. So this would be the place where to deploy that. But that's it. I think we're getting quite close to the end.
Yeah.
So what you've seen is,
sorry. No, that's okay. I do have a couple of questions. So the first one from Marie, is there a way to display on the dashlet the hidden options which allow you to maximize the view or use the export arrow without having to add text messages to tell users how to make them appear? I know that's a little bit of a long-winded question for you, Rena, but just to answer your question, Marie, right now, it's just that hover over that currently shows. But from a product perspective, that is something that we're looking at to try to make it just a little bit easier for the end user so that they are able to recognize what actions they truly can take. And then the second question we have is from Julian, which is, can you show how to schedule a data refresh from an external connector? Which is a great question and something that we're looking to have another potential builder hour that really shows more of the back end. So today we were super focused on the end user and maybe more of that data analyst role, but we are looking to have maybe more of an admin where we look at bringing in additional data and connecting to external sources. So it's a great question and really good for us to know that that's something you're interested in so that we could get that scheduled. And then,
yeah,
go ahead, Rena, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. Did you have something else?
Yes, we do have one more, and it is,
okay.
How can you add these third-party visualizations to the application? And I'm assuming what you mean, what the person means by this is adding in like third-party visualizations to the HTML. So that example that she showed with Twitter is how you would do that. There are some on the marketplace, and it looks like we just had somebody post that link. So you can also download that syntax through the marketplace as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So it's through the HTML container. So you need to know a little bit of HTML programming to get that to work. And marketplace has information you can download, instructions on a few different chart types, don't we? I think
yes.
that's how it's been built. Yeah. So they have examples over there on how that works.
Perfect.
And yeah, there was something I wanted to say on that scheduling this thing, but it's in the connect part. So when you go to the product, it's that's where you do the actual extracting. So you can schedule it through that. But I can't show it in this one, unfortunately. So we have to do another session on that. I can maybe post a quick instructions for you in the comments afterwards on how to do that. But unfortunately, in this environment, I can't show it.
Yes.
But yeah, so I just wanted to quickly recap on what we've done. So the idea here was to give you the kind of an outline of what you can do when it comes to customizing the pre-built content as a business user, as a report developer. So you can take what's been done, you can copy it, change items in there, bring in existing stuff. You can use existing filters, create your own if you want to. You can create dashboards from scratch. You can do calculations, custom sets, groups, global filters, as long as you remember to save them in the right place. So there's a lot you can do in terms of creating your own stuff and making it exactly what your business needs. Just remember the best practices, go through the documentation, and remember that there is so much stuff in here that just make sure you know what you're doing, what you have already available. I guess that's what I would like to end this with.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rena. And as we're nearing the end of the hour, I just wanted to fulfill my promise of providing a link to that free download. So this is going to be that Birst cheat sheet that we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. And it's essentially just going to give you some information overall about Birst, maybe some key terms and what they mean, and then also kind of goes over all the architecture. So there's a QR code here that you can take a picture and access that from your phone. And then we're also going to post the link so that you can access it from your computer as well. I'd really like to thank everyone for watching, providing questions during the episode. If you have any additional follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us, especially if you have anything just on our platform technology in general. We're going to continue to do these sessions, so please join us. And if you hit that subscribe button, then you'll get all the notifications to let you know when we're having our next Builder Hour and some of the other different technology sessions that we do. Thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.